So, I took a nap. Normally I take a nap when I come in from work anyway. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning to go to work. So I took a nap, um, and still nothing. Um, but I still feel the frequency. The direction of the frequency still goes right here. Now I watched a video. uh, I watched a video earlier about what to do if you lose your contact in your eye. They said that there's a number of different things you could do to try to see if you can get it to come back. Tilting your head in various positions, rotating your eyes. Um, what else? Yeah, adding eye drops to see if you can add more moisture to your eyes so that maybe it'll float back up to the front, things like that. But so far, I still haven't, felt anything come through. Um, the funny thing is, I fell asleep with the other one on too, because I was watching, the movie Falling, like I mentioned in my previous video. But nothing yet. So I don't know. They also mentioned in the video that sometimes you might feel like you have lost it in your eye, but it might just be irritation in the eye. So I don't know, like whatever really let me see, because there is still a frequency connected to my left eye. So at this point, I'm not even sure if I actually have a contact in my eye or not, or if it's them, or maybe I actually rub the contact out and they basically have a vibrational frequency connected to my right eye to make it feel like the contact is still in my right eye. But I don't know. It's strange because when you grab the frequency, right, you can feel the vibrational pulse in your hand. It also carries a heat variable to it. So it's like once you grab it and you pinch it just enough, you can feel the difference between the heat of the beam and your hand. Your hand basically emits the same, your hand emits the I guess the energy gas that comes from your body. So your hands would be able to tell the difference between the frequency beam that's carrying the energy, and then you'll be able to and then there's the energy that's produced, that's emitted from your hands. Now it feels like there's a frequency still connected to my right eye, and it's towards the bottom eyelid. Now when I tilt my fingers upward, the back of the frequency is where my palm is at, right? Now if I tilt it upwards, it feels like I could feel it like pulling, like it's pulling on the eye, like the actual eye, or like it's pulling on something on the eye. So I'm not even really sure what to think. And if I move it left to right, if I move it left to right, all I can feel is like I could feel multiple increased vibrations on the palm side of my hand. And then on the right eye, I could just feel like there is some type of irritation on the right eye. And then I can feel the frequency trying to push through my fingers. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Maybe I could have rubbed the contact out my eye and didn't realize that it fell out, and they're basically playing a trick by like attaching a frequency to my right eye to make me think I lost my contact in my eye. And I done already told people at work I lost my contact in my eye, blah blah blah. And you know, what's funny thing is before I got on the train to go home, I passed by like three of my coworkers, and you know, I gave them all a pound before I left, and you know, I could have swore I heard one of them say, I mean, I could be wrong. I could have swore I heard one of my coworkers say something. Now the streets are doing something, and the only time I ever hear that is either when the handlers are talking about what the streets are plotting or thinking or you know whatever towards me. But I didn't necessarily hear it in the four handlers' voices. I heard the co-worker's voice. But I don't know. At, you know, you got to use your discernment. You know, it's not like you really want to go walk backwards and try to ask someone, did you mention something? You know, it's used most of the time. Most of the time, it's not even worth it because all they're going to ever do is deny that they ever said anything. So that's why I tell people you got to have spiritual discernment. You got to pick your battles. You got to make sure you don't do anything that's going to be used against you in some way, shape, or form. And one of the best things you can do is don't react to anything that you necessarily hear, and don't address anyone who you think said something. If you don't actually have physical proof of someone doing something to you, don't address them. You gotta have physical proof. If you're gonna come at somebody, you gotta have physical proof. Me, you know, if I'm home and like I've already been working on recording the V2K, um and I already have several recordings saved on my phone. I have some recordings already uploaded on the internet. I have some recordings already saved on my laptop. Um, and hell, I even got some recordings saved on my BitChute account. So um, that's why I say if anything happens to me, if a proper investigation is done, then they're gonna go back to everything that I ever posted or everything that I have um any electronic data I may have, or any what's the words I'm looking for, any um interactions I've had with people. They're going to go if it's a the right investigator, they're going to go back and they're going to try to find out. Because remember, if anything happens to us as TIs, trust and believe they have a whole army of people willing to lie and say that, that person did this or that person said that, you know. And there's probably going to be very, very few people that's going to, put their well-being, on the line, or their livelihoods on the line to actually, verify that you are who you are, because, well, um, only the brave actually defends, you know, people's innocence, really. Because if you can intimidate and coerce someone into saying and doing whatever you want them to do, then more times than likely, most people will fold. Why? Because one, most people don't want to die, and then two, um, most people don't want to be targeted. So um, you just kind of just continue doing the right thing. You continue being you, and let God handle the rest, because hey, that's all you really can do. You can only control what you do, say, think, and feel, you know, or you can control it. They're manipulating all of that, but you can control it. You still have overall, master control over you. It's not like you're completely taken over, I don't know. Some TIs may be, because I realize some TIs may actually um, be overwhelmingly manipulated, and I pray for you all. Those of you who have those moments where they like have gotten up in their sleep, or and didn't know that they got up, or you know they don't remember doing or saying certain things because they probably wiped your memory of you ever doing it. So I pray for some of you. Well, I pray for you all, really. But just know that we are not alone. We are not just only here in the United States, but we have counterparts all across the world, whether it's India, China, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Russia. I don't know if I ever met a Ukrainian TI, but I'm pretty sure they're out there too, because TIs are everywhere. Wherever there's a country that has cell service, or satellites can basically have a coverage over there country, or whatever, they're so it's just be patient, be diligent, you know um and also don't stress yourself too much. The other thing, I forgot to mention something else, right? They took a tooth from me. Yeah. After months and months of frequencies basically destroying the nerves, after months and months of frequency basically destroying the nerves to, my teeth, the tooth eventually dies. And then as it dies, well, the tooth starts to decay. But also, when you find the resonant frequency of a tooth, you can basically cause the tooth to heat up, well, vibrate, and then as the frequency is causing the tooth to vibrate, it heats up. And then eventually it starts to deteriorate over time, and then eventually you get cracks or cavities, and yeah, then it basically starts to, you know, break apart. Right now they have one. Right now, right now they're going after this one. Yeah, right now they're going after this one. Uh, and you see that? That's the X factor for them, because that metal or whatever that silver material is that they use for cavities. I'm pretty sure at this point in life they actually don't put that in people's mouths anymore. But yeah, that's their favorite tooth to go after too. Anytime they attack my teeth, they go after that one. And it would make sense because, well, it's metal. So it's like having a super conductive, sensitive spot to aim for. And when I pinch, it's like when I pinch the frequency that's attached to that tooth, um, I can feel the frequency pulsing in between my thumb and index finger, and then it also has a very different heat difference. There's a heat variable, and then also like I mean it is pulsing too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's basically the count speed of the pulse of the frequency. It's like beat, 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 beat. They're trying to change it though. Beat, 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 beat. Yeah, they're changing the pulse. So, and if I try to track it, right? Because once you grab the frequency, you can track where it's going, where it's coming from. Once you grab it and you feel the pulse, oh, you can literally backtrack it to see where it's coming from. But you have to be patient though, because as you move, it might, lessen and lessen. And that's because it curves. Remember, what they do is basically the it's like they steer it almost like in a pattern, so that it's not necessarily like a straight line. They steer it. So it could be in like like a any particular way. That's why when you grab the frequency that's attached to you, just be patient and you backtrack it. More times than likely, you can usually track it to something like whatever is the most power producing um whatever's whatever electronic device that's producing the most energy or EMF near your body. That's probably where you can source where the beam is coming from. Now, me, um, I'm not necessarily sure if it's coming from the phone. Let me see. Let me see. See, now it's not pulsing as much. Probably because they see that I'm trying to track it while I'm recording. It feels like it most likely is coming from the phone, because the phone is basically producing a huge radius of electromagnetic field radiation. Like, it's a huge bubble around the phone. So if they can basically get the phone, it's like causing a power surge so that um the electronic device produces an even bigger field. The more bigger the field, the more energy they can grab from that field. The more charged particles they can grab from that field to form an energy vacuum and steer that vacuum to steer that beam, uh, to wherever they need, to hit you at. So more than likely, it's coming from the phone. But also, so you see that street lamp out there? That is a smart street lamp. Smart street lamps have infrared sensors built into them, and I believe they also have the what they call it, shot spotter technology. The shot spotter technology is basically like it's like microphones built into street lamps that basically, can tell the distance or pretty much where a gunshot was probably heard, and then that information is then transmitted to, I guess, like a database, a police station or whatever, and then I guess that's where the police would then be told to go to this area to see where um this thing had happened at. Now, those of you who are, here in New York, you might have noticed over a period of time that usually, if it ain't nowhere near 4th of July, but you hearing like loud, firecrackers or something like that go off, that's because they're throwing off the shot spotter to be basically lure cops into one direction, so then they could probably go and do something in a whole nother direction. So wherever you hear the firecracker at, that's not going to be the area where somebody gets shot at. That's probably the distraction. So then they'll lure people to go one place and then take somebody out in a whole different spot. Also, yeah, I said I wanted to make sure I do this. So I'm glad now I have two phones, even though I need to get the other one fixed so then I could be able to ooh, my eye. Yeah, they had frequencies attached to my left eye too. It felt like they were going after one of the muscles on the left side of the eye, because I know you guys are aware that I have a weak left eye muscle, so my left eye tends to wander to the left. So they had frequencies attached to one of the eye muscles, but right now it feels like they got one on my left eye, trying to create maybe like an infection or something or whatever. But there's a good amount of irritation on my left eye. It is 8:38 p.m. You see, that's basically 2 bars on my charger. This is my charger, right? All right. That part next to the white cord, that's a light indicator, a LED indicator, light indicator to let you know that there is electricity flowing through the box. That is my surge protector. Remember when I in like a few months ago I told you about my ionized air purifier from Clarifion? Yeah, ever since I plugged that into the surge protector, the light never goes off anymore. But if I plug, like you see where that lamp is at, she always, but you see where that lamp is at. There's an outlet over there. If I plug my air purifier into the lamp into the outlet over there, usually the clear indicator that my electricity in the room is being manipulated is when that blue light will go off. Since I've plugged it into this power surge protect over here, the light never goes off. So that's a clear indication that the electricity in your home or my home is being manipulated, or dirty electricity is being produced so that they can basically have a source of energy to form their directed energy beams. So plugging in the charger into the surge protector. Okay, and you see the light is on, right? The light is on. All right. Now, plugging up the charger. Now you see, now that it's plugged in, it's showing one full bar and a blinking second bar. Now to know that it's full, it should go all the way across and then stop blinking. Or normally I'm fine with unplugging it if it's like 3 full bars and then the fourth blinking bar. I'm cool with that. Because most of the time when I'm working, I really only need I really only need 2 bars when it's all I really need is 2 bars. I keep my flip phone with me because one, I like whenever I like to listen to music when I work. I mean, who wouldn't like to listen to music when they're working, right? So I use my flip phone. I use my flip phone for like a radio. They have there's a radio on my flip phone, so I use that. Then but also if anything happens to my cell phone, I literally just take the SIM card out of my smartphone and put it in my flip phone. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I have those things recorded. So then, well, if I wake up in the morning and the charger isn't charged, you see what time it is. It shouldn't take a portable charger, more than like 5 hours to fully charge anyway. So yeah, that's that. And see, and now that I've actually recorded and and mentioned how they basically cause your tooth to vibrate to a point where it basically starts to break apart or heat up. Now there's no pulse to the tooth. Now all it is when I try to bite down hard, there's like an irritation. They're basically attacking the nerve of the tooth, the pulp of the tooth. So then if they kill the pulp of the tooth, then the tooth itself dies. So they're attacking your teeth. But most TIs already know about this. Most TIs already know about how they attack your teeth. I don't know what I'm gonna do at that. So I already got this one. Then I got that one. My wisdom teeth been gone, but that's because they had grew and impacted anyway. It was so weird because it was like each tooth grew in parallel. They grew in parallel to the mouth. They grew in like not parallel, not parallel, but they grew in perpendicular. I think that's the word you use. And then also upon waking up from my nap, there's a beam, there's another beam. Aside from the one that's connected to the memory processing, there's a beam connected to the primary motor and probably the secondary motor cortexes. So yeah, it's like, yeah, in these areas here, let me see, right here, yeah, because as I pull back, I have the frequency in my hand. As I pull back, it feels like something is being pulled from my brain. But I also feel the pulse pushing in between. Like I feel the pulse pushing like in between my thumb and the not necessarily where the base of the knuckle is, but just above the base of the index finger knuckle. And it's pulsing in between my fingers. And as I pull back, it feels like something is being pulled from my head. And as I pull backwards, as I pull in this direction, and that's actually the angle where it's coming from. It's coming from that particular angle. I haven't pulled out my app yet to see if there's a satellite in that direction. Yeah. Not even really sure what let me see. Yeah. Because as I rock it back and forth, the source, as I rock it back and forth, the head of the beam is like, you see where, all right, the head of or the tail end of the beam, because this is the front part. That's the part that's connected to the head. The back end of the beam is right here. When I rock it back and forth, it's going at an angle this way. So stepping by the window, stepping by the window, it's going at an angle upwards like that. Because it's not coming from down, but it's coming from upwards. So it's coming from an angle going that way. So that's how you know they're using a combination of satellites, digital cell towers, probably an electronic device coming from someone's home, or it could be your cell phone. They use a number of different devices that basically have electromagnetic fields or infrared light sensors that they can use to basically send powerful beams to your brain that eventually just deteriorates your body. I think that's it for now. Yeah, that's it for now. Everything like that you can do is mostly record, but whatever you do, do not, I repeat, do not try to address someone physically without physical proof. because if you don't have physical proof, they will use that against you, and they will try to make you seem like you are the agitator, you are crazy. I'm already fully aware of who in this here New York City is a part of the gang stalking, but I am too smart to actually allow myself to be backtracking and go up to somebody, but did you say something? Da, da, da? Why would I do that if I don't have the proof? So I'm warning every single TI, do not try to physically approach anyone about anything that they could have said, anything that they could possibly do, because if you do not have physical proof, they have 100 mouths. They have 100 mouths ready to lie to say that you probably threatened them, and those of you who are watching the news and you see these people who these people who were clearly being targeted, but the moment they, I guess, lose their cool and they go to address their perpetrators, first thing that they do is they have a whole freaking flock of people willing to say, yeah, that person, when he was always kind of agitated, and he was crazy, and you didn't really say polite things to people, and they always try to make, like, the people that they interview for these people, they always try to make themselves seem like they're so innocent. It's just like with what's her name, Destiny. I call her handler number 3. Well, there's no real number, like there's no real number. I just know it's 4 of them. 2 guys, 2 women. And Destiny, no, it's mostly Jasmine. Jasmine, she's the main one that put on this little sweet little voice. And she'll be like, she'll be like, she'll say things like, he don't know nothing about technology. He, she'll be like, he don't realize he's he's like, she trying to make herself sound so innocent, and I'm like, yo, you probably been killing people since you was a kid. What are you trying to make yourself seem so innocent for? So anyway, yeah, that's all I got for now. See, they have this. They have. Let me test this thing out while I got you here. So right now, like I told you, there's a beam, there's an energy, there's a frequency. And the more interesting thing is when you start to find the exact spots where the frequency beams are, use your finger. If you can feel the pulse where the beam is at, especially on your skull, if you just gently press in, or press around the area and then press on the exact spot where you feel the frequency, you'll feel a dent in your skull. At least for me, I can feel the dent. So that's mostly because they've basically created such a they've been hitting the same spot so consistently and for so long that now it's like a soft spot in the skull. And basically an adult skull shouldn't have any soft spots, but there's an indent right where the primary motor cortex is at. There's an indent, and it's no bigger than like probably like two centimeters, 2 centimeters in circumference, right? Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, because what I realized is, remember I told you that basically, what they are doing is the infrared light that's coming down from the satellites and whatnot. It basically is like an infection. It's like a virus. And because your body is, you have a light, you have a light energy body, not just this flesh body, but you also have an electrical light energy body inside of your flesh. Basically what they're doing is, and I'm getting chills while I'm saying it, I got goosebumps and everything. So that's how I know when I'm telling the truth. What they're doing is they're using infrared sensors from satellites that basically I guess from their screens, it looked like nodes. Each and every human being has a node. In their cloud server, each and every human being has like a node, right? Those nodes are basically like they're like beams of light that go straight up, and we're all connected to these satellites. The infrared light basically comes down. It comes straight down. And then once it makes contact with, like, let's say your pineal gland, um, it's like an infection to the inner, probably the most inner layer of your aura, or your inner, your light body, your light body. And yeah, and then that's also something else to note is you also have, you have a main beam of light that comes straight through the crown of your skull, or right through your crown chakra, or it just comes, I mean, if you know about your chakra points, it comes straight down, and it connects right into the pineal gland, which is in the center of your brain. And those of you who understand or know anything about the pineal gland is basically like the doorway to your basically your energy force, your heart as well, but it comes straight down. And your pineal gland is like where your consciousness is, and how you basically monitor yourself and stuff like that. And that the infrared light basically infects and create almost like an exoskeleton. It's like an electron. It's like a synthetic energy exoskeleton over the layer of your skin. So just by like doing that, I can feel as if I just basically place my finger through like, how, like, think about it like this. How, like, when water is like running against a wall, or like, yeah, like water's running against a wall, or think of like a waterfall, right? And you stick your hand through, and then you see that the water just over it, just like when you stick your hand through the waterfall, and the water like kind of comes down over your hand like that. That's basically what happens. So when I do that, first thing I notice is a change in pressure inside of my brain. That's the first thing. Second thing I notice is it feels like there's a break or puncture into something else that's over the layer of my skin. So what I was gonna do, wait, I gotta use my right hand. So when I do this, remember this is 528 hertz. 528 hertz is like universal for like basically healing, healing almost everything. So, oh, I place that over the spot where I feel the most pressure at. And as it vibrates, as the metal makes contact with the skin and the body and it vibrates, it creates like a ripple. It creates a ripple in that exoskeleton. Now, I wish I could just make this just continuously vibrate so I don't have to keep hitting it. Now, also something to note too is upon placing it on the skull, upon placing it on the skull, that gas like pressure that's built up on the side of the head, it releases and then it comes down through here. I don't know if you can hear that. That's gas releasing from an area of the skull, or that's gas releasing from from an area of the cranium, and it's coming through what seems like a tube of it's like a tube of like it's like a tube, or as if like there's a space. Because I read somewhere that even for invasive, even for invasive what's the word? Even for invasive brain mapping or invasive you know cranial surgeries and things like that, they drain a certain amount of brain fluid, um, or cerebral, yeah, cerebral fluid, yeah, cerebral fluid. They drain a certain amount of cerebral fluid, so it makes it easier for, I think the EEG or the fMRI to be able to read or scan the brain activity going on. Has something to do with because I think the fluid basically scatters or makes it harder for the devices to read the electrical activity in the brain, so they have to drain a certain amount of the cerebral fluid from the brain so that they can get accurate readings, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, so that popping sound, that's not coming from my jaw. That's coming from up here. That popping sound you hear, that's coming from that thin connective tissue that layers over the brain. That's because it's dry. It should not be dry inside of your cranium. It should be moist. It should be wet. You shouldn't, when I open my jaw, when I open my jaw, I should not be hearing popping sounds coming from the cranium. That's because they drain cerebral fluid from the brain, and then what they do, they probably have a frequency or like some type of like channel. It's like a channel. It's like they have a channel of air that allows it to basically continuously stay dry so that they can constantly have full 100% brain mapping capabilities. Now, I remember hearing them once say, Chris don't realize he already dead, or Chris don't realize he died already. Something like that. So I'm just like, I mean, when you think about it, can the body actually survive without cranial fluid or cerebral fluid? I don't know. That's something I haven't actually looked into. Can the body actually survive without cerebral fluid? You know, so I don't know. Anyway, and then and I hear him. I'm well. I can't tell at this point. No, that one's probably the V2K because I could hear and say Chris trying to be successful with it. This is mind blowing to me though. It's like they're conducting genocides across the world and then call you a snitch for calling them out on conducting a genocide. Like, it's a freaking genocide. It's a genocide. They're literally killing innocent people. So that what? Just so that they can be killed at the end. Because they really thought that the elites want them a part of the world that they're trying to create. Remember, the Georgia Guidestones said that the world population needs to be reduced to 500 million. I can't see that many of these people being a part of 500 million, especially with the mindsets most of them have. No way they're a part of that 500 million. When you think about how elites operate, there's no way they're a part of that 500 million. They're a part of a phase where they use people who they've already corrupted to basically take out those of us who are actually morally, who have moral fiber and who will actually stand up and say, no, this is hella wrong. Like I've seen some wrong things and just, like I ain't gonna lie, I've mind my business on a lot of things. On a lot of things I've mind my business. But this just felt too wrong. This just felt too wrong. Like, it don't make no sense how, like, in New York City, if they have this type of capabilities, right? How is it that there's still so many murders? How is it that there's still so many sexual assaults, so many rapes, so many, pedophiles? There's all these different types of messed up people and things that's still continuously happening, but yet they're using this technology to take out people like me. That's how you know hell on earth is not just a thought. It's real. Like hell on earth is actually real. And they have people who are unknown. They don't even know that they're Satanists. They don't even know that they're Luciferians. They just think that they're part of a special club that actually gave them access to technology, and they're getting all their material riches, and they feel like they're better than everybody else because ooh, we're not going to be messed with because we're on the winning team, blah blah blah. But it's like, you really think with your mindset they're going to keep you at the end? It's just like the very beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Now, I mean, we're not going to make this about race because people are being targeted in every race, every single race: black, white, Asian, Middle Eastern, you know, European, doesn't matter. There's people being targeted in every race. And the funny thing is, in the very beginning, if you go back to my earlier videos, they they oh in my earlier videos they said, Chris, you don't realize you snitching on every black person in America. And I remember at one point I almost started to feel the guilt until I started to find black TIs. And once I start to find black TIs, that's when I was like, the devil is a liar. I'm like, because they're basically like everything that they learned, you can literally find it in the book of Enoch. 'Cause in the book of Enoch, it tells you exactly which fallen angels were responsible for teaching mankind certain things. I can't remember them all. Like there was a fallen angel that taught mankind how to use the metals of the earth to create weapons and things of that sort. Then there's another fallen angel that taught mankind how to read astrology. There's another fallen angel that taught mankind about beautification. Um, Beautification basically sensualizing the body so that you don't necessarily look at a human being as a human being, but you look at them as something that you can desire or whatever, something like that. There's a fallen angel for just about everything that's wrong about humanity. There's a fallen angel attached to that very thing. So and remember, there was like what 200 or over 200 fallen angels that were kicked out of heaven and basically told you can't come back to heaven. You're basically banished. So they can what mostly only either be on earth or probably jump from other planets, galaxies, whatever the heck may be. That's probably what the radio signals that we here on earth be catching from other parts of the universe. That's probably fallen angels transmitting signals and stuff to who knows, harp or CERN or whatever the case may be. um but that's it for now. I don't know, at this moment I don't necessarily feel anything in my eye, so I might have just rubbed it out and didn't realize it fell out my eye. And then what they probably did, since I didn't actually take the time to try to look on the ground to see if I can find the contact. And based on the video that I watched earlier about what to do if you lose your contact, they said that there's a well, your eye is in a socket. So it's not like the contact is going to go anywhere else. It's just going to be in the socket. So I haven't felt anything else. I haven't really felt anything because like I've had it happen before where my contact went in my eye, but it's a very it's distinct. Like you can feel it. You can feel when your contact is in your eye. But I think what they did, they played it so well where they basically created an irritation in my eye. So then when I rubbed my eye, what they did was they had a frequency attached to my eye. And then when I rubbed my eye, my contact came out and the frequency was still on my eye. So it made me think that I probably had my contact went inside my eye. But I still don't feel anything now. So now what they're doing at this very moment, they switched up. There's a beam here. They now have a frequency beam here. Yeah. And it's also tender to touch. Yeah. It's like right here. There's a frequency beam here. This is the main beam. This is the one that connects to the pineal gland. Right here down the center of the cranium, that through the crown. Um, that's the main beam that connects to the pineal gland. This is the one that's connecting to the I believe it is this is the one connecting to the primary motor cortex. This is the one connected to the memory processing area. And let me see, well, and like right here, I don't know if I could get the camera to angle that well, but right here, I think this is the one that's probably connected to either the can you hear the I don't know if you could hear the popping sound. But yeah, I think that one there is probably connected to either the cerebellum or the vision, the visual process, the the visual cortex or whatever. So yeah, I've been able to detect these beams for quite some time, and I consider it like I consider it a slap in the face to every single CIA, Havana syndrome, or anyone who's considered a Havana syndrome victim, that their so-called investigators are not able to find or understand what. That's a slap in the face to all of them. And I mean, but hey, I guess at some to some degree they're being compensated. Why? Because their Department of Defense, or their intelligence agents, whatever. So they're getting their compensation even though they still don't know what's going on. And I find that so strange because I'm like, how are you? I mean, that's probably part of the plot, is for them to play like they don't know what's happening to them. Who knows? And I would love to get into a conversation with any like already already documented, Havana syndrome victims, because I would love to like tell them everything that I know and how I can detect all these things just by using my God-given hands. You know, my God-given hands. Our hands are more powerful than we can ever imagine, not just for building and punching and holding things, but our hands are so much more powerful than we truly understand. But anyway, dag, I made a whole nother hour video. Anyway, all right, y'all. I'm gonna try to go back to sleep. Gotta be up early again. And I don't know. I don't necessarily. I still don't. I still feel like some type of irritation in the eye, but it doesn't feel like anything is trying to come up. So I don't know. Anyway, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.